Welcome to the Living with Narcissists podcast, where the first recommendation is don't. But unfortunately, that's not always possible. So this is your haven for validation, insight, strategies, and resources. So let's get started. Welcome, I'm Carrie, and this is the Living with Narcissists podcast. Today's episode will focus on the anxious, preoccupied attachment style and how it's related to narcissism. People who have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style see themselves in a negative light, while in contrast, they see their partner in a highly positive light. So just like in childhood, they tend to be overly dependent on relationships, with a persistent need for closeness and intimacy, and they constantly seek external validation for reassurance. They have difficulty trusting others and have a constant fear of rejection or being abandoned, which results in a constant need to please others. These fears make the individual hypersensitive to the actions and needs of others, which can result in a highly emotional, unpredictable, and moody person that shows a lack of impulse control. When these thoughts and behaviors are taken to the extreme, you can develop histrionic personality disorder, which is a personality disorder characterized by a pattern of long-term self-dramatization, attention-seeking, and overreacting to minor events. HPD, Histrionic Personality Disorder, which is a Cluster B personality disorder, requires the presence of at least 5 of the following. The histrionic person feels discomfort in situations where they're not the center of attention. They constantly utilize their physical appearance to attract attention. They often engage in inappropriate sexual, seductive, or provocative behavior while interacting with others. They present shallow and rapid shifting expression of feelings. They have excessively impressionistic style of speech, which lacks detail. They display theatricality, self-dramatization, and intense expression of emotions. They are suggestible and easily influenced by other people or situations. And lastly, they believe relationships are more intimate than they are in reality. Histrionic personality disorder, HPD, often co-occurs with other mental health disorders, including personality disorders like antisocial, borderline, dependent, and narcissistic personality disorders, and other conditions like depression, anxiety disorders, panic disorders, somatoform disorders, which is psychosomatic disorder, anorexia nervosa, and substance use disorder. To be perfectly honest, I have not interacted with people that I feel suffer from a cluster B personality disorder that do not have a component of histrionic personality disorder. When I first started learning about cluster B narcissism, I wanted very defined lines between one condition and another. Then I started to see these conditions as a fruit salad, where you can distinguish the grapes from the strawberries and cantaloupes. But now I realize that some of these conditions and traits are so intertwined that it's more like a smoothie where everything has been blended together, and it can be difficult to have a bullseye diagnosis, even for a certified professional therapist. Although the DSM identifies only one type of histrionic personality disorder, A 2004 study by American psychologist Theodore Millon and colleagues recognized 6 different types of histrionic personality disorder based on specific traits and behaviors of the histrionic person. The 6 different types of HPD are appeasing histrionic, vivacious histrionic, tempestuous histrionic, disingenuous histrionic, theatrical histrionic, and infantile histrionic. Here is a brief look at the different types of histrionic personality disorder as identified by Millon. Appeasing histrionic are super pleasers. They are obsessed with making others like them and becoming friends with almost everyone they meet. In order to accomplish this, they will use praise and flattery to amuse others, and they may become desperate to gain attention when the other person seems indifferent. Their need for acceptance is so strong that they are willing to surrender when conflict arises and may even appease and placate abusers. They are likely to tolerate neglect, abuse, and violence from others for the sake of acceptance. They are overeager to settle differences by compromising and making self-sacrifices. The vivacious histrionic is highly seductive, playful, and adventurous. From time to time, they can appear to be slightly manic, which is characterized as abnormal excitement, irritability, and restlessness, and of course, grandiosity. They may also possess certain narcissistic traits like being exceptionally charming, spirited, and impulsive. They're more likely to be focused on gaining momentary attention and temporary gratification, but they often fail to understand the consequences of their behaviors and actions. They are likely to engage in infidelity in relationships and tend to move on to the next relationship before ending the previous one. These individuals may fall prey to abusers, even though they may possess narcissistic features themselves. The tempestuous histrionic is a combination of histrionic and passive-aggressive disorder. They tend to be pessimistic, critical, and skeptical. They're also highly moody, impulsive, impassioned, turbulent, out of control, and prone to constant complaining and sulking. They complain, but may repeatedly refuse to act on suggestions to resolve the issue. Tempestuous histrionics tend to be emotionally variable, argumentative, and confrontational. They tend to complain, but may repeatedly refuse to act on suggestions to resolve the issue. Tempestuous histrionics also tend to be emotionally labile, argumentative, and confrontational. They may pretend to be superficially sociable and friendly, but they're socially immature, intolerant of frustration, and sensitive to criticism. The disingenuous histrionic tends to possess both histrionic and antisocial characteristics. They tend to be manipulative, aggressive, and hostile, and they are prone to violate social norms. These individuals are often described as deceitful, egocentric, scheming, guileful, and insincere. They don't like being perceived as weak, and as a result, they can resort to predatory behavior to create their preferred image. Although they may appear charming and friendly initially, these personalities may exploit others after gaining their trust. On the extreme end of this scale, they may also have psychopathic characteristics and tend to combine the charm and adaptive social skills of the histrionic with the deliberate malevolence of the sociopath or psychopath. They tend to enjoy conflict, and in the extreme, they may be prone to homicidal idealization or actually commit homicide. The theatrical histrionic tends to be highly dramatic and simulate desirable behavior and body language. They are the perfect and purest variant of the primary histrionic pattern. Like a chameleon, they can easily transform their projected image based on the social demands and fabricate their appearance and characteristics to boost their appeal. The theatrical histrionic lack step in their inner identity, and as their prominent endeavor is being seductive, pleasing, and attractive, women with this condition may wear bright, appealing, seductive, revealing clothing, while men tend to be bodybuilders. The infantile histrionic is a combination of histrionic and borderline personalities. They possess volatile emotions and experience childlike hysteria. I've actually seen people in my very own family roll around on the floor like a toddler having a temper tantrum because they didn't get their way. Literally to the point, without being aware of this, saying, "You are behaving like an infant." So this one actually really resonates with me. I have a few names that I can definitely say have a component of this in their personality. They often have severe dependency issues and tend to be demanding, highly emotional, and neurotic. They can be excessively clingy because they lack a sense of solid self and are more focused on seeking pleasure and attention. They tend to be depressed when they do not get the required approval or external validation. Before I sign off, I would just like to say, if you've listened to my podcast in the past, you may have noticed that my format has changed. And that's because Spotify changed the way that you record. And it's not as easy as the previous method. So it might take me a little bit longer to prepare episodes. And my recording quality may not be as good, but I'm sure over time I'll improve. And with that said, thank you so much for joining me. I hope this information is helpful. If you like my content, please choose to follow, subscribe, or provide a rating so I can share this information with more people and you don't miss out on future episodes. I look forward to sharing more in the future. Have a wonderfully peaceful day. Till next time.